Hi, and welcome to the She Minds Her Business podcast, a podcast that is focused on you, yourself, and you guessed it, you. This podcast is all about grounding yourself, reminding yourself that perhaps you were brought onto this earth not to live in service of others in denial of self, but to live in acceptance of self and fulfilling your full potential, not for others, but for yourself. On today's episode, we will be looking at why I am personally choosing towards the end of 2025 to focus on minding my own business and growing. And we will look at why you need to do the same as well. When I think about choosing to mind your own business, several elements come up, and this is how we will look at the episode for today. We look at what society thinks choosing minding my own business means. We will look at what it is supposed to mean, and we will also look at how choosing to mind my own business is the literal only way to be able to grow and reach your full potential. So first of all, we will look at where all this minding other people's business came from, where we got that from. Then we will begin to rephrase what minding our own business means to us and not what society has told us minding our own business needs to mean. From there, we will look at practical ways on how we can mind our own businesses so that we ensure that we live to the full potential of which we were born to fulfill. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. What is minding our own business? I think before we speak about minding our own business, we need to essentially look at minding other people's business. I'm of the school of thought that society has taught us from a young age. We've been brought up and basically bred into minding other people's business. And minding other people's business, it does not mean like gossiping, you're looking at what they're doing in their lives, no. Minding other people's business means that you have been brought into this world to cater to other people's needs, to cater to other people's emotions, and to cater to other people's consideration. It also means living up to expectations of people that have been placed on you. That is, if your parents thought you ought to be like academically, empowered, like you ought to have been top of your class, that was your main consideration as a child. If your parents expected you to be the best well-behaved child of all their children, then that is what you lived up to. It also looks at the societal expectations, the societal roles that we have been put to play. So in friendships, if you are the most understanding friend, if you are the therapist friend, that is a role that you will always play. It looks at you playing one sole role and the other versions of yourself not being accepted by society. So basically, if you're the therapist friend, you can't ever ask for help because you're the one who carries the group. They've also talked about we've seen it in social media, like people who are considered strong characters, so their vulnerability will never be accepted. We've also looked at high achieving women, for example, and because they possess masculine traits such as being competitive in career spaces, they're not allowed to be feminine in their relationships. They're not allowed to receive princess treatment because that means they're having their cake and eating it. And so I feel like society in itself, we've been brought up to mind other people's business. And I'd like to bring out a scenario that will help us understand it. Look at a woman who is born, and I think I read this in a book or probably listened to a podcast on it. It was speaking about how when girls are born, they're given a doll to take care of. They're given like a doll to take care of. And in essence, it teaches them that they have been brought in life to live in service of another person, primarily a child. But before you live in service to a child, you need someone who will give you that child, so it is a man. And therefore, women have to be appealing in order to get possibly the highest value man. And so they have to be appealing and attractive. And so they don't get ready or they don't put effort into their appearance for themselves, but they do so they can be picked. In essence, the need here that is being served is not even the woman in question's needs. It is the need of the third party, the need of the man who needs an attractive woman, who wants to be with an attractive woman. And so in essence, when we live as per the societal standards that have been put on us, when we live minding other people's business, we end up serving other people's needs and concurrently abandoning our own. So I always feel like we've been brought up minding other people's business. It is so unconscious that even when I finally got the veil lifted off my eyes, because in essence I would think like, personally for me, I had placed my parents at a pedestal, and the role that they wanted me to play is, to be the highest performer, to be top of my class. And that is what I did, but it didn't look like performing for external validation, because it seems that I'm the one who's gaining, by being top of my class. Perhaps I would be punished by being top of my class, I would get gifts and all these. So it doesn't look like I'm doing it for them, but in essence it still doesn't. When I looked back and did the inner work and did the inner questioning, I still did it because of them. And so in essence, I think minding other people's business is simply a manifestation of self-abandonment in itself. You are abandoning you, your own needs, your own values, your own wants, because you don't even know how to have those. All you've ever done in life is to live for the wants of others. And therefore for me, it really means that those two cannot live at the same time. They cannot exist simultaneously. You cannot mind other people's business and mind your own business at the same time. I'm of the belief that when you mind your own business, or choosing to mind your own business, is literally the only way that you can grow into your full potential. It is the only way that you can embody the vibration of your highest self. It is the only way that you can live in true authenticity of who you were meant to be and the purpose that God put you on this earth to fulfill. And I say this because at around age 16, when I finally realized that I had achieved absolutely everything that my parents wanted, I went to the best schools within the country, and I was top of my class, and I got all those grades. Everything happened, and I had ticked all their boxes. But what I was sitting with was a case of lack of self-fulfillment. The life that I was living was not fulfilling me. I was living a very empty life. So how is it that I am ticking all their boxes but I'm not being fulfilled? Because in essence, we need to sit with the thought that perhaps you were put on this earth simply to enjoy life. And as long as you continue living in this life in this sugar-coated service, the society has sugar-coated it in the word service, living in service for others, I call it self-abandonment. And so long as you live in this self-abandonment cage, you will never ever live a fulfilled life, because you will never reach your absolute true potential. You will never do the things that you are put on this earth to do. And so that is the background that comes up with why we need to mind our own business, because in essence, you will live a life that is not fulfilling for as long as you practice self-abandonment, for as long as you choose not to mind your own business. And I want to rephrase this minding our own business, because sometimes it's usually like a curse word, like someone can tell you, why don't you just mind your own business? And honestly, that should be just like some piece of advice where you're like, oh yeah, let me mind my own business. And I want to rephrase that, because every single time we're told to mind our own business, or when we think of, okay, let me mind my own business, it's almost a certain level of self-introspection that looks like it's selfish. It looks like a person who is indifferent to other people's wants, needs, and even feelings. It looks like a person who does not care about other people. But get this, I tend to believe, even when we look at the story of Jesus, Christ only came and gave us what he already had. He was a free man. He was not a slave of sin, and that is why he could be able to extend that level of grace to ourselves. And therefore, we can only take people as far as we've taken ourselves. If you, for example, are doing something from a place of self-sacrifice, self-abandonment, there's no way that you can call it love. And I want to give an example for me personally, the way I used to do it in terms of like friendships and relationships. I would feel the need to to mind other people's business or cater to other people's emotions because I grew up in a very hostile background. And when you've grown up in a very hostile background, as a child, you really learn how to sense other people's emotions. So you can sense that this person is angry, this person is anxious, this person is fearful. You never really introspect to look at your own feelings and be like, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling fearful? No. You're looking at all the other people so that you can try and control their emotions so that you can be at peace. And so that was also showing up in certain relationships that I was in. When we were having a moment of disagreement because I didn't, or someone acted in a way that was not respectful to my emotions, I didn't know how to call them out on that. And I did not call them out. And I didn't call them out for such a long time because in essence, I had never learned how to be in tune with what I want. I had never learned how to mind my own business. So what I was doing was minding his business. I would mind, okay, he feels rejected now because I've told him that I don't like the way he does this. So how can I stop him from feeling rejected? How can I cater to his feelings of rejection to ensure that he does not feel them anymore, instead of thinking of me first? And in essence, we usually think that we do these things because we love the other person. I'm telling you, there's no way that love can bring out a fruit that is not good. Love in itself is a good thing, so it cannot bring out something that is bad. If I was truly doing it out of love, then it wouldn't be a toxic relationship in the first place, right? But it was toxic because I was not doing it from the love I had for him, but I was doing it out of the hate I had for self. The hate that I had for self. And I called this learned hate because it is hate that we've learned to do. So we've learned this hate because, in essence, you have to hate your own needs to satisfy those of others. Those two cannot exist concurrently. You cannot mind other people's business and mind your own business at the same time. Cannot happen. So you cannot extend this false love to another person and also extend love to yourself. You have to hate yourself and extend that now fake love to other people. And in essence, I tend to believe that the most healthiest of friendships and relationships that I have been with have been those that came from a place of me first dealing with the self-loathing that I had, the self-abandonment that I had, to a place of self-love, so that I can extend the same level of grace to other people, the same level of love to others. I think society has the equation wrong. We think that the only way that we can love others, the only way that we can show up for other people is to abandon showing up and loving ourselves. But the only way to truly do it is to follow the equation of Christ. He only gave what he had already received. And therefore we need first to mind our own business so as to be able to have the capacity to mind other people's business. It is the only way to do it. You think that abandoning yourself, practicing this self-abandonment and carrying other people's burdens and needs on your back is the way that you are going to gain worth. Because in essence, it is all a performance that is rooted in seeking validation from other people. So you think that if I show up as a good friend, if I give out the best gifts, for example, for me, I was at a place as a student where I was struggling financially, and my friends would be so insensitive as to say that this is what they wanted for the birthdays, or this is what, and I would perform, I would take it, because I didn't know how to say no. And I thought that is the way that I am going to earn this friendship. And it comes from a place of knowing that, or believing that you have no self-worth. So I used to perform. If I do this, then I'll become a worthy friend. But a lot of inner work has helped me know that other things don't make you worthy. You're supposed to work on yourself so much that you believe that you are a worthy friend merely by by your existence itself. By giving your time and your energy to this person, you're a valuable person. You're not void of value until someone else pours it into you, because that's a dangerous space to be in. For as long as we're looking for other people to fill those holes that we have in us, we're putting ourselves directly at a place to be manipulated by narcissists, at a place to be overlooked, and a place to give ourselves reason to hate ourselves more. And even more alarming is the fact that we deny ourselves to live authentically and be able to live in a way that allows us to achieve the highest forms of success, or even live in line with the highest versions of ourselves. We deny ourselves the opportunity to live happy and fulfilling lives for as long as we self-abandon. And therefore, we need to rephrase what minding our own business means. Minding our own business doesn't mean that you're a selfish person. It means, and if other people perceive it as selfish, you don't have control over that. Okay? You don't have control over that. Minding your own business means that you understand your value on this earth, and you understand that the mission that you had first on this earth is to bring light to yourself. I am of the school of thought again that each one of us has a certain light that the Lord saw darkness in the earth and brought us as light to bring into the earth. But you can never bring this light into the earth until you see that light in yourself. I was always a therapist friend. I'll talk about my friendships. I was always a therapist friend, and I was always trying to bring understanding into other people. And so the role that I played was one who was very silent, one who was very listening to the other people, not judgmental to them. And in essence, this role that I played denied me the opportunity to be able to give life, because by my words of encouragement, I'm able to bring light and life into this world. But the devil is usually after what is behind that. If I can keep her quiet enough, if I can keep her hidden enough, then that light will not shine on this earth. If I would have not taken up the step to show up personally and show up authentically and not play a role just because it's the one that I've played for so long, then I am able to live a very fulfilling life. And I want us to sit with that and realize that the only way that we will live fulfilling lives is if we actually embrace the fact that we have been put on this earth, first of all, to bring light into our lives and share that light with other people. Because it's like trying to teach someone how to ride a bike without you first knowing how to ride a bike. So you don't know how to ride a bike, and you're trying to teach an entire school of people how to ride a bike. It doesn't make sense. We think that we can extend what we do not have, but what actually happens by doing that is we deny ourselves the opportunity to be happy. And because you cannot actually control someone else's perceptions, you cannot control how another person will feel about something, so you can therefore not control their happiness. It's a lose-lose situation. You're not happy because you're not living a fulfilled life, and they're not happy because you're not the one that controls their happiness. And so we live at a place where we are so lost, so confused, and we don't know where to go. We don't know what's the next step. And the only way that we can ever grow into the most authentic versions of ourselves, to the highest versions of ourselves, is if we learn, first of all, how to mind our own business. And you might be wondering, okay, Felicity, you've spoken a lot about why we need to mind our own business, but how exactly does minding our own business look like? How can I practically mind my own business? And before I get into the 5 practical ways in which I have found myself to mind my own business, I would like to first speak on the rephrasing of what minding my own business is. So we've talked about what minding my own business is not. It is not selfish. This is the only way that you serve yourself. It is your way to see yourself, and it is your way to appreciate your existence. And that is what it is. And every single time that you catch yourself self-abandoning, you need to reaffirm that that is the main reason why you're doing this. So let's get straight into the 5 ways in which we can mind our own business. So the first one that I wrote was to take intentional time with self. We have to take intentional time with self. And I say this because for us to learn how to self-abandon, for us to learn to meet the needs of other people, we can only do so when we've avoided isolation. We are taught from a young age to avoid isolation. Go play with your friends, go play with your siblings, go talk to your mother, go talk to your father, go help this one, go help your auntie. That is how we've been raised. We've been raised to fear and reject isolation at the highest level. And this is because if you're isolated, you learn the highest vibration that there could be. Love and self-love first. When you are with yourself, when you are alone with self, you are able to be in tune and hear your own thoughts, hear your own needs, know your own wants. And because we've never sat down, we don't know them. These are foreign things to us. The time that I would sit down and practice self-introspection and practice why do I do the things that I do, I was very shocked because I didn't even know how to converse with self. How do I start conversing with someone I'm meeting at the age of 18 years old? It doesn't make any sense. And for us, even at 30, even at 20, even at 25, you still have never had that conversation with self. You still cannot sit with yourself. We continue running away from self, thinking that, we'll reach a point where we have run away enough and we'll never have to face ourselves. But as long as we do that, we live a life that is not fulfilling. The only way to do that is to take intentional time with self. And if you're doing this for the first time, this can look as simple as journaling. You can do it. I do it in the evening. I have 30 days. Each month I take 30 days of self-reflection questions like, what made me happy today? What am I most grateful for today? What today didn't go the way that I want it to go? It's just simple questions. If you want me to share a template, kindly write down in the comments. I will share the template that I personally made for myself for 30 days. I usually change it up after every 30 days. It is intentional time with self. If you've never done it before, you can try taking a walk. You can just try do it for 15 minutes to sit with doing nothing, not scrolling, not listening to any music. I think right now, because we are always listening to things, we never have time with self, just you and the quiet. And if day one is weird, so was every single meetup. It is only weird because you've never done it before, not because you're doing something wrong. You need to take that time with self, because if you don't know what you want, the whole world will tell you what you want. Other people will tell you what you want, and you are putting yourself at the absolute frying pan and watching yourself walk right into the traps of narcissists, walk right into the traps of people who have no empathy at all. And therefore, the first thing we need to do is to take intentional time with self. Another thing that I've personally done is to make the conscious decision to stop self-abandoning. Once you sit with self, the next thing that will come is you will start to realize your triggers. For example, as I mentioned before, even in relationships, I would never point out problems that I had with previous partners, because I would never want them to feel rejected. I was trying to mitigate their own emotions. But I made the conscious decision to not self-abandon. And once you self-abandon, your mind will now be conscious. Oh my God, I think I just self-abandoned. Why is it that I did that? For me, I realized it because I never wanted to say no, because I never wanted to make someone feel bad. But I said it was no longer my responsibility to take care of someone else's emotions. That's not my responsibility. That is not why I'm on earth. And in fact, I can't even do it. So I abandoned that so that I can be able to show up for myself. I abandoned the need to mitigate other people's feelings, to take care of other people's feelings, so that I can take up myself, so I can take up showing up for myself. And I made the conscious decision to stop self-abandoning, because most of the actions that we do in terms of self-abandoning are usually unconscious things. You do it unconsciously. You just someone just asks you something, you say yes because your mind is so used to doing that. You've done it for 20 years, you've done it for 16 years, you've done it for 30 years. But we can make the conscious decision. You need to realize that the power is within you. And I realized it for myself. And I promise you, if you take intentional time with yourself, you will realize where you're self-abandoning. And you will have to empower yourself to a place where you will give yourself permission to make the conscious decision to stop self-abandoning. Another thing that has also helped is you need to abandon the need to shrink. The only way that you can ever, if you really want to see people in your purview, if you want to behold people everywhere, just try being the shortest person. Now, I'm 5'2", so basically the world considers me a short person. I'm very short. So when I stand in between, there are people who play basketball in my school, for example, they are all I see. And when you've shrunk, when you're such a short person, all you can see is others. Your rear view is others, your front view is others, your side view is others, because you have placed them at a place that is higher than yourself. And therefore the world has taught us to shrink. The world has taught us to always see the needs of other people, again, so that we can get external validation. But this doesn't have to be the case. You can intentionally choose to abandon the need to shrink. We choose to shrink because it is a method of seeing other people. And as I said before, when you take intentional time with yourself, you will start to realize the places where you ought not to shrink. And when I talk about the need to shrink, I'm not even talking about showing up in your workplace. I'm not even talking yet about self-advocation. I'm talking about in your head. in your head, in your considerations, when you sit down to consider how you're going to spend your time, are you shrinking your own wants, needs, and priorities to fit other people's needs within your timetable? If you know that this is your priority right now you're not going to have enough time for your friends because your main focus is to be financially stable, you're not going to be able to go out here and there because you're financially stable, are you going to shrink your own needs to meet those of the majority, to meet those of your friends, to meet those of your parents? I'm talking about shrinking in your head, in your own personal consideration while decision making. You need to stop shrinking yourself. Abandon that need to shrink. Show up for yourself. Tell yourself, no, I said this is my priority right now. My priority is financial stability, and I will not go here because that is not a long-term solution for me. That does not serve the highest version of myself. You need to put in the considerations of what your higher self would do and not just what other people want, because you cannot serve two masters at the same time. Another thing that we can do to mind our own business is practicing. Another thing that we also need to do is we need to start practicing self-advocation. And when I talk about self-advocation, of course, it is pushing your ideas towards other people. Okay, not pushing, but like letting know. And I think in matters self-advocation is mainly seen not in the you accepting the things that you want, but mainly in you saying no to the things that you do not want and the things that do not serve your higher self. That to me is what self-advocation is. It is saying no to people about matters that are no longer in alignment with your higher self. That is what self-advocation is. And self-advocation, for you to be able to self-advocate, mainly has to come from you believing that your voice is important as well. You have to have such a deep belief in self and self-trust in your own ideas, self-trust in your own decisions. You have to believe in them so much to a point that you know it is important. You have to believe in their importance before you are able to share it with another person. And therefore self-advocation comes in the saying of no. And we have to practice that, because that is minding our own business. Because when we don't say no, people are able to put their business on us. And all of a sudden, we're minding other people's business. Perhaps the last one that I would like to leave with on a point of reflection. Self-compassion is also another thing that we have to discuss. And self-compassion does not only mean having compassion for the things that you did not do. I think one of the things that you will encounter as you take intentional time with self, even something that I personally encountered when I was doing the inner work, was the realization that people actually took advantage of your naivety. They took advantage of your lack of self-awareness. And that brings out such bitterness not only to those people. You learn to resent not only them for the things that they did, for them taking advantage of you, but you also learn to resent the version of yourself that did that. You learn to resent yourself, and it comes in the form of like, how could I be so stupid to have allowed someone to treat me like that? How could I have been so foolish as to allow myself to be treated like that, to be taken advantage of? How could I not speak up for myself when these things happened? But I want to tell you that that level of resentment shall not bring you the freedom that you so truly crave. You can only have and live in that freedom when you've had a certain level of self-compassion for yourself, to understand that you cannot hold yourself to standards that you did not know ought to have been in existence. You cannot expect yourself to have acted in alignment with the instructions that you did not know would serve you. You cannot expect yourself to have done better without knowing better. Now that you know better, you can do better, but you cannot like overturn those two. And I think a point of self-reflection would be that just your goal is to understand yourself more. Your goal on this earth is to learn yourself fully, to learn about yourself every day, to learn about the things that you want, the things that you like, the things that you don't like, the things that you're crazy about, the things that you truly, truly desire to put as your own mark upon this earth. the whole essence of our living perhaps is we are on a journey, we are embarking on a journey of self-knowledge, just to know ourselves. And that to me is the true essence of minding your own business. It is the only way to grow, by knowing ourselves. Yeah. And I think at that point of self-reflection, we should be done by this. We are absolutely done with this episode. I just want to stop there, because there's no greater thing to stop with than with an introspection on self. And my focus towards the end of 2025 and towards the beginning of 2026 is just that I may learn how to mind my own business, that I may actively partake in minding my own business and showing up for my own business, which is me, for the greatest business of it all. I think up to that point, I have really loved hosting you. I've loved this episode. I've loved every single minute of recording it for you. If there are any other topics that you would like us to cover throughout December, you can let us know. We'd be very happy to do so. Let me know down in the comments if any of you would like the channeling templates. If any of you have any questions or comments, I would really love to hear with you. I love chit-chatting with you in the comments. And until next time, I have been your host, Felicity Dare. Bye.